Hello, this next video is going to be about instruments of the orchestra. At grade 5 you need to know the names of the instruments, how they produce their sound, what clefs they use, and which instrument family they belong to. So the first thing I would do to acquaint myself with all of the instruments in the orchestra would be to go away and have a listen to Benjamin Britten's The Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra, which is a fabulous piece of music in which you can hear and see all of the different instruments and how they fit within the different instrument families. So do go away and have a listen. There are plenty of great recordings out there on YouTube. But for now, I just have my picture of the orchestra, and let's have a look at the different families and the different names of all of the instruments. So here at the bottom we have the string family. The string family can be played in two different ways. String instruments can be plucked, which is called pizzicato, where players pluck the strings with their fingers, and they can also be bowed, which is called arco, where the contact between the bow and the string causes the string to vibrate, which creates sound. So here we have first and second violins. These instruments use the treble clef. We have the violas, which use alto clef, and we have the cellos, which are the instruments that are held between the player's knees. They use tenor clef and bass clef if they go low enough, and the double basses at the back, which are really big and really low, and they use bass clef. So notice the bigger the instrument gets, the lower the sound created, so that's important to notice as well. Part of the string family is also the harp, which is plucked by the player's fingers, and there are also pedals round at the base, which the player presses with their feet in order to help the harp change key. So that is our string family. Above the strings we have the woodwind up here. So these are called woodwind because you blow down them to produce a sound, hence wind. And traditionally they were all made out of wood, although that isn't the case anymore. The flutes are now actually made out of metal. So to produce the sound on the flute you have to blow across the mouth hole. And the same on the piccolo, which is a smaller version of the flute. Over here we have the oboes. So the oboes have what is known as a double reed. It's got two pieces of thin wood that are tied together, and the player forces air between those two reeds, which causes them to vibrate. And next to the oboe we have the cor anglais, or the English horn, which is a bigger variation of the oboe. We have the clarinet, which produces its sound using one reed. The reed is attached to the mouthpiece at the top of the clarinet, and the player forces air between the reed and the mouthpiece, causing the reed to vibrate, which creates sound. And the clarinet's bigger relative is of course the bass clarinet, which produces sound in the same way. Now we have the bassoon and the contrabassoon also, and they are both double reed instruments. So like the oboe, they produce their sound when two reeds held together start vibrating when air is blown down them. So those are the woodwind family. The piccolo, the flute and the clarinet all use treble clef, whereas the bassoon uses bass clef.